Okay guys, we're back out in the RV this morning working. We went to town, got a couple pieces of plywood. We're going to be putting the top on our cargo box here. I've got it measured and cut out here. And I always try to use glue, because to me, you can't go wrong using glue and screws, especially in something going down the road that's actually moving around. I like to put a good heavy coat of glue, and I use Tight Bond because it's non-toxic, and it is one of the better glues that I have ever found to fool with. I like to put a good bead of it on top of it. I want all the support in this thing I can get, because like I said, this thing will probably be moving around, and I want to make sure that it's well supported. Okay. We can get our top here. We're using 3/4 inch plywood on this cargo box. That's what was originally on it, so we're going to put that back. Try to get it, looks like it's fitting good. And actually this is just rough end stuff. We're actually going to come back and cover this with something else later on. But, we're going to try to make this fit. I always want to screw what's next to the wall first, because that way you know you've got it when you do that. Make sure it's held tight, because you can see you want a good tight seam. Alright, we're through with the cargo bench top now. We've got that in. Now we're fixing to try this floor you see all in here. It's got to have some 3/8 inch. We're going to put exterior plywood down over this, and this is going to be a booger, y'all, because I've got a lot of holes that's going to have to be cut out. And you see this vent right here? We're going to cover up all the vents, because we're not going back with this system that was in this trailer. So I'm just going to cover all these up. But I've got things like your tank spouts there that have to go in there. I've got the toilet here. I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Even though I'm not going to put a toilet back in it, I'm going to cut it out in the event someone in the future might want to. I got another vent coming up right here. I've got the tub drain right here. I got a notch out for the pipe that comes through the wall here. Plus I got a wiring system right out here in the floor that lets you know about your tanks, how full they are. On this side over here, I got a notch out here, come over into here, come over across here, and then come way up to get that sheet in here. So this is going to take me quite some time to figure it out. Best thing to do when you get in a situation like this is go get you a sheet of paper, measure and draw, so that you get everything exactly like it's supposed to be, and then double check it, because once you cut it, that's it. Okay guys, one of the better things to do is to draw this stuff out on a sheet of paper, and I have every hole I have to cut. They're not to graph or anything, but I want to know on my paper where I'm going to be cutting these holes out. And the first thing you want to do is measure all the perimeters and get all of that established before you start measuring your holes and squares to cut out. So that's what I'm going to be doing to start with. I'm going to try to get all my perimeter measurements. 17 3/4, 18 1/2. Okay, a lot of people don't know how to come up with measurements for things like round pipes and stuff like that. I'm just going to use a speed square to show you, you know, how to do this. The easiest way to do it is to take your speed square and put it against the back of something that you know is square, like we know the back of this is square, and you want to draw your pencil line across here like this so that you actually have something to measure to. This gives you a way of measuring. Now, if I measure from the other side of this hole to my pencil line, I have a 2.5 inch hole there. I automatically know if this is 2.5 inches from here to the pencil line that I made, that half of that is 1.25 inches. So I'll take my tape measure and I'll find 1.25 inches on it here, and I mark it. And what that does is that gives me the center of where I need to drill this hole in this direction. And basically it'll be the same thing when you go this way. You want to always turn your tape measure up on its edge, because if you put it down flat ways, it holds you off of the wall, whatever your angle is. This one happens to be about 3/16 of an inch, but if you turn it up on its edge, then it gets you all the way to the wall. Now if I do it this way and I look on the back side right here, I can already tell that it is 3 3/4 inches to the back side of this. So what you'll do then is take your drawing here, and I know that this distance from the back of it here is 3 3/4 of an inch. Then what we want to do to get this other measurement, being we know the center of the pipe now, we can come here. We see that it is 29 3/4 of an inch. So what I'll do is I'll come to the center of this pipe, and 29 3/4 inch. That gets me to here. That gets me to here. But now the 3 3/4 was to the edge of my hole there. So we're going to have to, we know this was a 2.5 inch hole, so we're going to add 1 1/4 inches to this. So what we'll end up with will be 5 inches to the center right here of that. So now I'm going to take away my 3 3/4, because I don't need that now. And we're going to put this is like 3 3/4, and 1 1/4 makes 5 inches from here to here. So when we make this cross in the center of this, where that is where the center of our bit will go. And when we drill our 2.5 inch hole, it should be exactly where that is at. Okay guys, this one's a lot larger in diameter, so we're going to do something a little bit different on this one. I'm going to set my square up where it's just barely touching the wall here. I'm going to draw my line, because my square is touching the edge of this now at its widest point. Okay, we're going to move our square over to the other side. We're going to set it up, and we're going to do exactly the same thing there. Now we have 2 lines here. This will tell us the exact width of this here. And of course you could just measure right here, but you got a nut in the way and it kind of gets a little bit aggravating. It says it's 7 inches. Let's check back here. And see, that's the whole issue here. This, with that nut being in the way, says that it's 6 7/8. And when I measure back here, it's 6 3/4. So the tape measure bowing over that is giving us a little bit of a false reading, but you don't have to be exact, because you can leave a little space around it. It's not going to hurt. If you ever go to use it, your wax ring is actually what seals that up. So we know that we've got 6 3/4 that away. And then if we come off of this back wall, it is 4 inches to the back of this right here. So we're going to put that on our paper again. We know that if this is 6 3/4 of an inch right here, that half of it is 3 3/8. And what that does is that gives us the center of this here. Now, of course, I could lay a square on this wall and pull it right over the top of this right here, and that'd be close enough. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm just breaking it down to show you the actual way to do it. And now that we have the center mark here, I'm going to go all the way back to my wall over here. And I'm going to measure across. And according to the wall, it is 57 3/8 of an inch to the center of that. So on here, we're going to put 57 3/8 inch to that center. Now that's going to be from our wall over here to here. Now, coming off of the back, I think I can't really lay my tape measure up here and do this because this is a slanted wall, and if I do that, that's going to give me a false reading because my tape measure is like a ½ inch off the floor and it's going to shove me way back. So I basically have to go down low like this in order to get an accurate measurement, which is 4 inches. And we automatically know if it's 4 inches, then the center of this was 3 3/8. So we're going to add 4 inches to 3 3/8, 7 3/8 of an inch to the center of this. If we make our cross in there, we can put 7 3/8 inch. And that will get us to the center here so we can make our circle. Now what I'm going to do, because I don't have a bit big enough to drill a hole this size, I'm going to have to take a jigsaw and cut it out. So out to the side, I'm going to write 6 3/4 inch circle. And I'm going to put it in parentheses so that I know that that's the diameter of this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to fudge a little bit. I'm probably going to cut this like 6 7/8 because you never get anything exactly perfect. And I want to make sure that I have a little bit of room to slide this thing around and move it just a little bit. And what I'll do is come back and fill this full of silicone or something around it here if I think it's going to be an issue. Okay guys, this is everything measured out. I know you probably can't read it there, but that's how many measurements that there is on this one piece of plywood we're going to be putting down. We're going to pray that after we get it cut, that it actually fits. Alright, let me explain a little few things here. Okay. Let's get our piece of paper out. This X you see right here is this X right here on the paper. And the way we got that is we measured from the end of our plywood here where our mark is at to here. Now, as you can see on the plywood, we have all of our zigzags marked over here, up here, and then across, and then up. Just like we have on our paper here, to all the same measurements. Now when it comes to the big circle here, if you don't have, I ended up going with 7 inches because I want a little bit of play around it. I don't want to get in there and find out I'm just a little bit too small in some areas because I got to shift the plywood a little bit. I went with a 7-inch circle. If you don't have anything 7 inches in a circle, what you can do, I did this demonstration here. You can either use a string and a nail, or you can take the tape measure and you can put half of 7 is 3 1/2. You can put it on that mark there, and you can mark here and here, and you can rotate it just a little bit. Keep it on that point center, mark 7, into your tape. You can keep doing that around in a circle until you've created this row of dotted lines here. And that will give you a complete circle. Now you can take your pencil and finish it out because it's not really that crucial. I mean, I can sit here and I can finish this circle out with a pencil all the way around. I'll have a solid line when I get through. Make it really easy to cut. And that's probably what I'm going to do here is I'm going to probably just go ahead and do this all the way around because I'll be using my jigsaw and I don't want to have to be hunting or waiting for the next dot. I want to know that I'm pretty close. And we have it like that. That's our full circle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a 3/8 inch drill bit and we're going to drill a hole right here in the corner to stick our jigsaw down in to go around it. Now we have another X up here. This is where our wires and the floor we showed you is going to be coming up through. We have this box over here that we have marked out. Now this box is not that crucial. We just went kind of close to what they had already in the bottom of the RV floor. It can be larger, smaller, just so you can get your trap in here. This one right here is where the trap through the wall, the vent trap goes up. So we just cut a slot all the way to the end. And I did put an X in it because I'm going to take my hole saw and I'm going to cut it. And that way this right here will be rounded off instead of being square like this. I'm going to try to make it as round, make it kind of look a little bit better. Doesn't mean anything, but I just like for it to look that way. It's amazing how much stuff you have to do one project. Just to cut this one piece of plywood here and to make it right, I had to have, first of all, I had to have a tape measure to measure with, had to have a pencil to write with, had to have a notebook to write it all down on, had to have a skill saw to cut the square edges with, had to have a drill bit to get a hole started for a jigsaw to go in, had to have a jigsaw, had to have a framing square, had to have a drill motor, had to have a hole saw. Guys, you guys have to have a lot of tools just to do one simple thing with. That's why it gets to be so expensive when you do something on a homestead if you don't have the tools to do it with. Now I could have done it other ways and it would have took me a whole lot longer and been a lot more labor intensive, but this was the easy way and this is the way that we took to do it. Alright guys, I made a rookie mistake here. Getting in a hurry. It's hot, it's like 80 something degrees, I'm about to burn up. What happened was, I took my measurement, was supposed to come from the end of the plywood here. Well, the end of the plywood was 98 inches long, and this only had to be 91. So what I did was, not thinking, I just hooked my tape measure on the end of the plywood and got the measurement for this first hole here, when I should have been measuring from this line right here. And I drilled one hole. I made a mistake, so the plug I cut out of this one, I'm gonna put right back in this one on the floor and just kind of seal around it, so we're still good. I got to cut a drain off over here, and once I get the drain cut off, we're going to see if this thing will actually fit in here. Alright, we're using 1.25" drywall screws because we don't want to go too far down through the frame. We got like 1-inch plywood here, and this is 3/8, which this will be fine. We don't want to go too deep. All of our cuts are fitting decent. I actually overcut just a little bit on each cut just to be sure that we were going to be alright. And we're going to just be screwing the floor down to make sure that we're alright. Okay guys, we've got the floor down now and completed. And one thing, when you put a floor down in an RV, do not skimp on screws. Just go ahead, wherever the high traffic areas is, put the screws down. You know, if you've even got the glue, glue it if you want to. I mean, because we didn't glue it because I just put a cotton picking pile of screws in the floor. And I don't think this thing will ever move because, I mean, it's screwed down tight everywhere. We've got the cargo bay done. Now we have the first sheet of plywood on the floor. We're ready to move on from here. We're probably going to start insulating the ceilings and the walls and trying to get the boarding on that before we go any further in the bathroom. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.